Hello, this is my first video trying to show you ways to develop your English through your studies. What we're trying to do here is to help you expand your vocabulary, develop your grammatical range, and improve the accuracy of your use of English. But I think we have to consider what it means to expand, develop, and improve your use and understanding of English. I do think that the exercises I'm going to go through here, or the advice I'm going to go through here, is valid for everyone starting university right now and wanting to be a better communicator, a more effective writer, a more articulate participant in university conversations and discussions, whether those are written or spoken. But of course, this video is largely aimed at those of you who are particularly keen to improve your English and do kind of need to improve your English in order to meet entry requirements for next year, or progression requirements for next year. However, I'm not suggesting here, I'm not suggesting at any point that you need to spend lots and lots of extra time learning and improving your English as well as your regular studies. The whole point of this video and other videos I will make is to show you how you can develop your English so that you can do all of these things. You can expand your vocabulary, develop your grammatical range, and improve the accuracy of your use of English just by paying a bit more attention, making some notes, maybe doing some learning occasionally, with your regular reading. The regular work that you have to do on the foundation year is enough. It's plenty to lift your ability in English. Whether you're a native speaker wanting to communicate more effectively, or whether you have an IELTS 5.5 and you want to be an IELTS 7 user of English, there is plenty for you to do in your regular modules and in ELSS. But you might need kind of like just a bit more focus on. That's what we're trying to do here. So just to repeat, we're looking to expand your vocabulary, develop your grammatical range, and improve the accuracy of your use of English. We're going to start by looking at vocabulary and learning from your reading. Okay? And our starting point here, we're going to use as an example an article called "The Fourth Industrial Revolution, What It Means and How to Respond." I'm picking this because it is a text that is free to access. You can, I'll provide other links, but you can access this article in full online. It's from 2016 by Klaus Schwab. You can open the article now, or you can just look. All I'd like you to do is have a look at the first three paragraphs. So here are the first three paragraphs of this article, and in these first three paragraphs, pause the video now, read the first three paragraphs. I just want you to identify three new words, or I mean, even if you can't see three completely new words, three words that are kind of the least familiar to you. Okay, so pause the video, do that task now, read the first three paragraphs, and identify three newish words. Okay, now this is what I've prepared. So I thought three words that I might predict would be the most new for my students typically. I've gone for brink, prolongation, and breadth. Okay, so when we meet new vocabulary, I think it's very important to find out the meaning. So let's think about the meaning of these words breadth, brink, and prolongation. We can do some exercises another time in guessing meaning from context, but it's really easy to find out the meaning of a word kind of via a dictionary. If we look up the word breadth, I'm going to use the Cambridge Advanced Learners Dictionary online because I think it's really thorough. It gives you all the information you need. And here we have a definition of breadth: the distance from one side to another, or the fact of including many different things, features, subjects, or qualities. So breadth is kind of like width with a slight difference. Now, so that's our meaning. But beyond meaning, I'd like us to think about how we use this word, either in writing or in speaking. So I want you to think for a moment about a concept called collocation. Now, we can think of collocation as the company that words keep. If you think about, there are some people in your life, whenever you see them, they're always with certain other people. Some friends seem to be inseparable. There's one person in your life, I'm sure, whenever you see them, you always see someone else kind of near them. It's the same with words. There are some words in English, when you meet them, you'll probably see another word nearby. Like if you see the word bicycle, you'll probably see the word ride nearby. And you'll probably never see the word drive next to the word bicycle, because we say ride a bicycle, but we don't say drive a bicycle. Why not? Well, this is collocation. Okay. So when learning or discovering the word breadth, it's maybe important to think about the company that this word keeps. And we've actually got a lovely example in our text. It's we often see breadth spoken about in terms of like not just breadth, but the breadth and depth. Lots of expressions in English. If you think about salt and pepper or salt and vinegar, depending on whether you like cooking or eating crisps. Lots of expressions in English like put two nouns together, and here's one of them: breadth and depth. This is what we often talk about, how wide a subject is, but also how deep it is. So it's not unusual to see breadth and depth together. You'll see I've left a gap there, the breadth and depth. Does anyone remember what the next word was? Okay, because the next word, we're moving away from collocation and into something called colligation. Now, I said that collocation is like the company, kind of the vocabulary company that words keep, or what we might call the lexical company that words keep. Colligation is the grammatical company words keep. So, when we see the word breadth, the grammatical company that keeps is the word of, and then a noun phrase. So we can think of this as a kind of grammatical pattern. Whether we say breadth or breadth and depth, it is followed by of and then something. The breadth and depth of something. Okay, so by looking at the word breadth, we've kind of thought about some important issues here. When you meet a new vocabulary, what does it mean? And how is it used, both in terms of vocabulary and grammar? Let's have a look at our next word, the second of my three words, which was brink. Okay, so if we go to the dictionary, we've got the meaning, and one of the reasons I like the Cambridge Advanced Learners Dictionary, other dictionaries do the same thing, is that as well as giving us a definition of this word, it gives us some examples of the word in action. And so actually just from the dictionary, you can start to get a sense of perhaps not the collocation, but the colligation with this word. So have a look at the examples. You can pause the video now and spend some time looking at this. But what do you notice about the way we use brink in a sentence? hopefully what you notice is that we talk about being on the brink of something. So in terms of collocation, the kind of verbs that we might use with brink, we've got in our text, we've got stand on the brink. But if you do, try this. Again, you can pause the video, go to Google, use quotation marks, and in the quotation marks, so quotation mark and then on the brink of, and then another quotation mark. Do a search on Google and see what kind of hits you get. In the hits, what verb do you get before on the brink of? Okay. You can pause, go and do that. And when you come back, if you've done the task, you probably noticed that it was be, to be on the brink of, or is on the brink of, are on the brink of, was on the brink of. You probably saw that much more often than any other verb. So in the text that we've read, when we met brink, it was stand on the brink of, but often we'll see it with be on the brink of. Okay, and so just to move again from collocation to colligation, or what we might think of as patterns, in our text by Schwab, I can't say it. We have stand on the brink of a technological revolution. So it's like, perhaps in your first language, if your first language isn't English, perhaps you don't have a word really like the or a, or you don't make the same distinction between the and a as we have in English. If that's the case, it can be really difficult to get that right. But you could just say, okay, whenever I meet the word brink, I always see it as the brink and not a brink. Okay, and you might think, I don't know, what's the difference between on, in, at? Okay, it may be really difficult to get your head around those concepts anytime in your life, but whenever you meet the word brink, you'll notice it's on the brink of something. So what I'm saying here is by looking at the language that you meet in your reading, you don't need to worry too much about doing grammar exercises about, okay, what's the difference between the and a, what's the difference between on, in, at, and so on. Just like, if I want to use the word brink, I'm going to use on the brink of something. Okay, so we always have a verb, then on the brink of, and then a noun phrase. And that's the pattern of use for brink. Okay, so if we meet the word brink and we think, okay, that's a word that I might want to learn that, I might want to use that in the future. I think it's maybe important to kind of write down, to record, not just the word. I mean, you might have a vocabulary book where you write the word brink and then a translation, or brink and then the meaning in English. But what I would recommend that you do is record the pattern of use. So you might write down stand on the brink of noun phrase, or be on the brink of noun phrase. If you did the Google search like I suggested, you probably found quite a few examples of be on the brink of ing. Okay, so as I record this video, unbelievably, Aston Villa are on the brink of beating Liverpool by 5 goals. That makes me sick, but it's memorable. Okay. Now, I think the example text we've got is really interesting because it's got some other nice examples of colligation, or what I'm going to call patterns. Look at this highlighted paragraph in the middle. Okay, I'll give you a second to read that. Pause if you need to. So I think there's something really interesting here about the word use. Okay, so use, you probably think of that as quite an easy word in English. You don't need to check the word use in a dictionary. But this paragraph really demonstrates like an effective way to use the word use and create an effective sentence structure around it. Let's have a look. The first industrial revolution used water and steam power to mechanise production. The second used electric power to create mass production. The third used electronics and information technology to automate production. Okay, so there's a pattern here. Something uses something to do something. Okay, so you might never have learned English in this way before. You might have just done kind of like word by word translations. And what I'm suggesting is, if you look at a bigger picture around an individual word, you take something like use, really simple word, but actually we notice here a very useful sentence structure. Use something to do something. That really helps you to get sentence structure right. So we're talking about making your written and spoken English more accurate. Paying attention to patterns like this, I feel, is how you can do that. Okay, let's move to our third word. I kind of find this less interesting as a word, but here you go. Prolongation. We've got this sentence in our article. There are 3 reasons why today's transformations represent not merely a prolongation of the third industrial revolution, but rather the arrival of a fourth and distinct one: velocity, scope, and systems impact. Now, okay, if you're already kind of learning what the kind of thing that I'm saying, or noticing the kind of thing I'm saying, you should notice the pattern of use with prolongation here. A prolongation of something. But actually the sentence that it appears in, I think the structure of that sentence is actually much more interesting than just the word prolongation. We've got 2, I think, really useful structures that would be good in your writing. One of them is to set out something like, there are 3 reasons why blah blah blah, and then a colon, and then the 3 reasons. Okay, I think this is if you can write like this in your essays, is really helpful to a reader. If you're talking about reasons for something, tell us the number of reasons, use a colon, and then express each reason as concisely as possible. So if you're going to write an essay about reasons for something, you're probably going to write a lot about those 3 things. So the 3 reasons here: velocity, scope, systems impact. We might want to read paragraphs and paragraphs about the velocity, the scope, and the systems impact. But here we've got a sentence that just explains that there are 3 reasons and it names them. And I think that's a really useful sentence structure to use in the introduction of a piece of writing. Another structure here, I've tried to highlight in bold. You probably know not only but also, like it is not only this but also that. Well, here we've got not merely but rather. Now, if you start noticing things like this, you probably already know not only but also. You see this, okay, I can add not merely but rather, and that's got the same structure and the same function, and I can just add to my vocabulary and my range of vocabulary and my range of grammatical structure. Paying attention to sentence structure elements like this, just writing them down so that you can use them later in the future. This is what I'm recommending that you do. Kind of try to notice useful language that you'll be able to use in the future. It's all in the stuff that we're giving you to read. You don't need to do any exercises anywhere else. You can, if you pay attention and you think about the things I'm talking about, you can find it and you can do it. Okay. So I've spoken about meaning and patterns. So collocation, sentence structure. I guess what we haven't spoken about is pronunciation. Now, you've probably noticed the way that I've said the word brink, prolongation, and breadth. But I think it's always good to know how to pronounce new vocabulary. Look, I'm British. Even when doing a master's degree, when I was younger, I embarrassed myself in seminars by not being able to say certain words. I was the first member of my family to go to university. My family didn't talk about the kind of books that I had to talk about in seminars at university, and I often got the pronunciation of words wrong because I knew them from my reading, but I'd never used them or heard them in a discussion before. And that was embarrassing for me personally. I don't want anyone to feel the same embarrassment. So whether English is your first language or not, I think pronunciation is actually really important. If you're seeing a word that you want to use, you're going to know how to say it. A good dictionary will always tell you. If we look, for example, at the dictionary entry from the Cambridge Advanced Learners Dictionary on prolongation, you can actually click and hear both the UK and US pronunciation of this word. There's phonemic script that you can read, and you can also kind of learn to write if you want to devote time to that. An important thing to point out here is word stress. So there's a little, it looks like an apostrophe before the gay in prolongation, and that tells you that the stress is on gay, prolongation, and it's not prolongation, for example. Okay, getting word stress right is really important, and it makes it much easier for other people to understand you. Okay, that's everything I've got to say. Now it's over to you, and you've got a task with 2 parts. So we've looked at 3 words from the 3 paragraphs. I'd like you to choose one new word that we haven't spoken about from the 3 paragraphs and decide what information you need to record and remember about this word. So think about the meaning and how you might record that. Think about collocation. Think about colligation, or what I might call pattern grammar, and think about pronunciation. Choose any word. You can go to the 4th paragraph if you like, but one word, and just either whether you want to write it on paper or do it electronically, what will you write down in order to record that word and its patterns and any other information that you think is important, in a way that you'll be able to refer back to it in the future, or maybe use it to learn that word in the future. Okay, and send me what you record. Okay, so you could write it on paper, you could do it electronically, take a photo of it and send me your photo. That's all I'd like you to do. Second task, can you find one further sentence structure or a sentence frame that might be useful for you to learn? So the example I gave earlier about there are 3 reasons, colon, and then the 3 reasons, we might talk about that as a sentence frame, because after the word reasons, why, there was still a lot more text, but it gave us the beginning and the end of the sentence like a picture frame. Okay, so if you can find like a whole sentence structure, you think, that's a really neat way to express that point, I could use a structure like that. Or if you see the way a sentence begins, and think, okay, I could see myself using that in my own writing in the future. Please write it down and send it to me. Okay, so those are your tasks. I'm really looking forward to seeing what you do with that. Thank you very much for your attention, and do let me know if you have any questions about anything that I've said. Bye for now.